Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. We've already got several people in here. It's good to see everybody. I hope you are all staying warm because
It
we
is,
are freezing to death.
it is very cold outside.
I'm all bundled up over here, chattering, teeth a chattering. Well, if you guys have not been here before, welcome to our channel. My name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And we have got my precious little mommy, Sweet Tater. She is with us, as usual. And let's see, we've got Cindy from sunny South Florida. That's where I'd like to be.
Well, it might not be warm down there. I saw where my friends down there in Florida was having ice and snow.
Yes.
Louisiana, but someplace in Louisiana, it's shut down. There's so much snow.
Yep, they said it was a very rare storm that we're
Absolutely.
seeing. All the way down on the beaches, they were expecting a lot of ice and stuff. So that's very strange. All right, we've got Indie Girl 57. Hello from Indiana. Tamale 79. Hey, you from cold Russell, Kentucky. Yes, it's so cold. Welcome.
Was it Russell or Cole Russell?
She said, hey, you're from cold Russell, Kentucky.
Yeah, well, I know where Russell is. It's in Greenup County.
Oh, all right. James Powers. Hello. Yes. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like our content. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe or hit the like button. And it grows our channel. It helps get us out there to new people that don't know about us yet. Birdwater. Hello, Elizabeth and Hillbilly Crime from near the Gulf of Mexico in Veracruz. Ooh, how's that weather down there? It sounds beautiful. The Kentucky Proud. Hello. All right, y'all. And they said, yes, it is in Greenup County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm a Forbes.
Yeah, Forbes. Forbes. I'm not sure what that is. Do you? Is that Irish?
It's Scots-Irish, I think.
Scots-Irish. Mellow Yellow. Hello from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Awesome. Loved you on the other podcast today. Yeah, we did Surviving the Survivor this morning. I always enjoy going on there. Sis, you should have been a detective. I love your name. 18 in Coldwater. What is that, MS? Is that Mississippi? Or is that, yeah, that's Mississippi, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Missouri is MO.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stacy. Hello, ladies. You can tell how long I've been out of school. Kate for Big Little Voices. Hi, Elizabeth and Selma. Good job on STS. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sunny Days 55. Awesome. Well, thank you for showing up. We sure appreciate that. And that makes you our stream sponsor for now. So thank you so much. Bless you, bless you, bless you. All right. So I wanted to look at what all is going on in the search warrant, the wrong address search warrant case in London, Kentucky. That has been, it blew up when it first happened, and it's been very quiet since. I don't know. I haven't really heard a whole lot, not on the news or anything. So we are going to look at an article that has come out saying that the authorities remain silent on the unaliving of Kentucky man by police. So we're going to look at this article real quick and see what they're giving us. Well, it's not even an article, it's a video, so we'll be watching it, not listening.
Kentucky State Police say 63-year-old Douglas Harless was shot and killed by a London police officer at his home on December 23rd. Police say they were attempting to serve a search warrant at the time. From court records, we know that warrant was tied to an investigation into stolen lawn equipment belonging to the Laurel County Judge Executive. Questions have been raised as to whether police were at the wrong home when Harless was killed. Throughout our extensive coverage of this case, we have repeatedly said that we are working to get a copy of that search warrant the police were serving. To explain why we believe that warrant would help solve some of the questions surrounding this case, WKYT Samantha Valentino is sitting down tonight with an attorney to learn more about what goes into obtaining and serving a search warrant.
While KSP says Doug Harless was killed at his home, 511 Vanzant Road, court records and dispatch audio from the shooting indicate police were attempting to serve a warrant at 489 Vanzant Road.
We're at 49 Vanzant Road serving a search warrant.
The only way to know for sure is by obtaining a copy of the warrant. The Laurel County courts say they've never received it. London police say all records have been handed off to KSP. While KSP initially told us they didn't have the warrant, 6 days later, they told us they actually did have it, but they can't release it due to the ongoing investigation.
When applying for a search warrant, they have to list the location to be searched.
Abe Mashney is the founding attorney of Mashney Law Criminal Defense in Lexington. He explains search warrants will also detail any items police are hoping to seize and a description of the location they want to search.
A lot of times they're going to include GPS coordinates, they're going to include an address, a description. In some instances, they'll include a picture of the residence or the thing to be searched, and just to provide as much detail as possible so that issues of searching the wrong place don't occur.
Through an open records request, we obtained all of the London Police Department's policies and procedures. They detail what officers must do to obtain and execute a search warrant. In this section, they write, quote, the search warrant affidavit should particularly describe the house or place to be searched, including address and physical description of the exterior. A photo of the location is often an invaluable aid. The policy on searches also says a search supervisor will determine the type and number of personnel needed to serve the warrant and assign an entry team leader who has the sole responsibility of directing the team into the search area and holds the authority to stop the entry, quote, at any time if there are any doubts about whether or not a correct entry is about to be made. Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
You can read the London Police Department's full policy titled Search and Seizure in this story inside the WKYT News app. There you'll also find an affidavit of Commonwealth's attorney Jackie Steele on why KSP isn't releasing the search warrant, along with our full coverage of this deadly shooting.
Wow. So that was pretty interesting. They originally, Lord, Mom, your dog scared me to death. About jumped out of my chair. So that was pretty interesting. When they put in their public records request for the warrant, they said they didn't have it, and then it come to find out that they did have it. Lordy mercy, my dogs always start to. Let this dog get
I got a skunk. I went outside to get my doggies because they wouldn't come in. I had to go out and force them to come in. I picked them up and carried them in. And I smelled that skunk, and they was trying to dig under a table. So I got them and got back in the house.
That sure is an awful smell.
Well, I didn't want it on me nor my little babies.
Yeah, and that little deer runner you got would run right out there on it, I'm sure. Oh, don't know how to hit like on your comment. Hey, neighbor. Oh, I guess that was somebody else. Eric Melton says it's 9 degrees in Hopkins County, Kentucky. Okay, I'm signed in. Evening. I missed the first half of STS earlier. Oh, that's all right. Same DA in Letcher County, right? K Craft, thank you. Yes, you caught that too. It's not Letcher County's DA, but it is the Kentucky Attorney General. It's one of their prosecutors, Jackie Steele. Now, I'm not sure. I think that's where he's out of. I'm pretty sure that he's out of the Attorney General's office, but he's the one who's prosecuting Mickey Steins. So that's very interesting. Indie Girl 57. This stuff is so sad. I see a lot of this going on with the Chicago police. They are always busting in on families with children, and they are traumatized. How can they not make sure it's the right place? Absolutely. We've got another one here that I wanted you all to watch. Here we go.
He is dead after police shot and killed him in his own home. Officers in London were investigating stolen lawn equipment, but they were at the wrong house.
10 News anchor Sam Perez joins us. You went to Laurel County, Kentucky today for a look at this case, and it really stunned neighbors, Sam.
John Robin, that's right. So this right here is the house that police were supposed to go to, 489 Van Zant Road. But this house is where they showed up instead.
It's got me scared to go outside my house tonight.
Melissa Miller has lived on Van Zant Road for 5 years. On December 23rd, just before midnight, London police shot and killed her neighbor, Doug Harless, while serving a search warrant.
Units on scene can serve search warrant. Call on the radio for assistance. Shots fired.
Laurel County dispatch audio confirmed that police were supposed to be serving a search warrant to 489 Van Zant. The affidavit says officers knocked on the door at 11 Van Zant and announced themselves as law enforcement. But Harless didn't let them inside. They breached the front door when Harless raised a handgun in the direction of officers. An officer fired a rifle, killing Harless.
I thought the cops were supposed to be there to serve and protect us. I thought they know where they're supposed to go, not just go up in someone's home while they're asleep and kill them.
WBIR got a copy of this security footage from a neighbor and reached out to the London Police Department with multiple requests. We asked for any body camera or dash camera footage from the incident, but there isn't any. In a response to WBIR's request for that footage, City Attorney Larry Bryson wrote, quote, "The documents, records that you requested are not in our possession. We cannot produce documents that are not."
I just want to stop at real quick because I want to make a point right here. If that neighbor had not had that security camera on their property, there wouldn't be any footage of what really happened that night. The only reason that we even have any idea of what happened that night is because of the neighbor's security footage. Because there's nothing from the city police, there's nothing from the county sheriff's deputies. Both were out there that night. There was none of that. And we don't know if there was anybody else out there that night that was neither police nor or city nor county. So I just wanted to make that point real fast. It's a good thing to have security cameras on your property.
In our possession. According to Chief's directive from March 2023, the department stopped using body cameras because the chief said it was too expensive.
I'm not against the cops, but I'm not for them no more. No, I'm not. I do not trust them. I don't trust them. If I needed them to be there to help me, would they be there to help me or would they be there to kill me? That's what I'm scared of.
49-year-old Hobie Buttery is the man charged with theft in this incident. Buttery is who police say they were investigating, which led them to Van Zant Road, where he used to live at a separate address.
Sam Perez on the update. This note, the Kentucky State Police, they're actively investigating, and we did reach out to learn more information, but we're told that agency can't comment on it.
Okay. So I would also like to point out that I think, and this is just my perception of what has been released so far, I kind of feel like they have thrown that Buttery guy under the bus by saying that, well, he's the reason why we went out there in the first place. It was information that came from questioning him that led them to get the search warrant in the first place. So it kind of, the way that it sounded to me like, was that they were kind of throwing him under the bus, trying to blame him, that he was the one that had sent him out there that night. Well, he's not responsible for their mix up on the numbers. That's just, you know, I don't know. What do you call that, Mom?
Well, it's a mistake's what you call it. It's an error.
But what is it called? Negligence.
Yes, they should have checked the numbers carefully.
How much negligence?
Well, there probably wasn't anybody at that other house, and they could tell it was vacant. You know what I'm saying? So they probably in their mind said something like, well, this can't be it. So they went on to the next one. And it probably showed evidence of being lived in because the house they were sent to was vacant.
Well, the one interview that I saw, there was one station, news station, that did a longer interview, that aired a longer interview with him. And I should have pulled that up, sorry. But in that longer part of his interview with the news people, he said, you know, I didn't send them to that man's house. He said, that should have never happened. You know, he said, I told him that I had a weed eater out on Van Zant. But the way that he said it was that he didn't tell them nothing about that man. He didn't send them to his house. And so, you know, and the only way we know that is because a news reporter went into the jail and actually interviewed him. You know, I think it's very important that we have other sources of information or other places that we can get information than just certain ones, because, you know, sometimes people get so used to being the only game in town, you know, it monopolized, you know, they kind of, they might get biased one way or the other. So it's always a good thing to have different points of view, different perspectives, and that's what gives us freedom to be able to discuss and debate issues. We have differences of opinion. You got any comments there, Zelmy?
Well, what we need better trained police force. And we need better instructions of how they should proceed. Like there should be a checklist, you know, of things that they are supposed to do when they go out to serve they was just serving, were they serving a warrant or a summons? Or did they
were serving a search warrant. You know, that's different than a warrant, than an arrest warrant. I can see if maybe they wanted to surprise somebody at night with an arrest warrant, but this was a search warrant. So this was different. You know, this means they were going in to search the property. And I said the exact same thing you did right after this happened. Why don't they have like a checklist that they have to, you know, they have to make sure that they do all these things, you know, kind of like a script.
That's right. And they should have to check them off, each one, and sign it. Or at least whoever the leader is, there should be somebody in charge when you got a whole bunch of people going like that.
I
mean, why would you assume that you're going to have trouble and have a slew of people? You should just have, you know, 3 or 4 people would be plenty. I don't know why this was such a big, I don't know why there was so many people there. They must not have had anything to do that night.
Well, remember the property that this weed eater was stolen from was the judge executive of that county. So and when we listened to the 911 call that the judge executive had put through, he apparently, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me either. Why are you calling 911 to have them put you through to an officer? You know, I don't know. I know it's TV, but I see on TV all the time that police get really testy when you call 911 for a non-emergency.
Well, they should be testy because 911 is for emergencies. And if you're using it to go look for a weed eater that's not even yours to begin with, belongs to your nephew, well, you're in some pretty deep poo-poo.
Well, and that's why I think there was so many people out there on that search warrant.
They all wanted to impress him. They might get they might get some stars by their name down there at the department.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this one come out here and got my weed eater back for me. Let's give him a raise.
Yeah, and all that phone call sounded to me like was a bunch of blowing hot air. Oh, you and your wife come down and hang out with us anytime. I told everybody that my mommy and daddy think the world of you. And this was right after this man's life was taken in such a horrendous way. And it seemed like all they cared about was patting each other on the back. Well, there wasn't much to be patting on the back.
Well, you know, I don't run over things in the road. If it's a snake, I stop and let him go on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to run over him. And I'm not going to kill nothing, and I'm not going to shoot nobody. Now, if somebody came in my home, I don't know what I'd do. I'm sure I wouldn't shoot him because I don't have anything to shoot with.
throw your dog at him.
I'll turn my dogs loose on him.
You might be able to throw Lucky at him.
Well, they'd bark. I mean, nobody likes barking dogs. They all run from barking dogs.
I know. It just doesn't make no sense why they would go out there after. And it wasn't. I know everybody. I keep seeing that it was after 10. It was after 10. It was almost midnight. I thought.
Now, why would you go do that?
It was 10. But why would you go out to serve a search warrant at midnight on a weed eater and a little heater? You know.
Well, I mean, not only is the person that. I mean, I guess you don't care about the person you're serving the search warrant on, but what about the neighbors? You don't need to be coming out serving those search warrants at past 10 o'clock unless it's something that just got stolen or unless it's a bomb or, you know, something really urgent, really big.
Something urgent. Nacho here says we'll never know if he did, in capitals, caps, aim a pew-pew at the police officers. I doubt if he did. He didn't have much time between the time that they showed up in his driveway. You know, he might have been asleep. If he was asleep, I doubt he even realized that there were cars pulling in his driveway. But from the time they started beating on the door, hollering, you know, I may not, if somebody was beating on my door and I'd been asleep, I may not put together what they're saying. I might be able to hear that that somebody's shouting something, but if they're outside of the door, you know, I might not be able to hear exactly what they're saying.
Expect the police to come quick. The man was innocent, so he wasn't expecting the police. And he was not running from the law, so he wouldn't be using a gun to try to protect himself. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just such a sad thing.
And with none of the officers wearing any body cams, Nacho's right. We'll never know what the truth of the matter is. I mean, they can say everything that they want to say, but what's the biggest point here? And this applies everywhere. This applies to all these cases that we're looking at. It's the appearance of impropriety. That's what they are supposed to avoid at all cost. If there's any appearance of impropriety, that's why people have to recuse themselves from certain cases. If there's a conflict of interest or whatever. But we won't know what really happened. We just won't. And it's very upsetting. Let's see. Jessica Jackson. I believe they had better make sure the police can read, because the house numbers were clearly posted. And they said, the dispatchers said on that recording like 5 times, they said the number out loud.
Well, they was just following whoever was in the lead. Whoever the lead guy was passed up the house that had with the number and went on up there to that one. And so since he was there, none of the others bothered to check either.
Yeah. Well, the appearance of impropriety thing, that's everywhere. Like even in this case, you've got the mayor that's kind of real shady acting. You've got the chief of police, who I don't think we've even heard from yet. You've got the city council, who I think I was kind of impressed with the London.
So was the chief of police with them?
No, I don't think the chief was on the search warrant, but we haven't even heard from him. He was supposed, from the way that I understood how the people spoke at the city council meeting, the chief had told the council members, yeah, just call me if you need me to explain something, just call me. And then how many of them tried to call him during that city council meeting, and he never answered the phone. So that was kind of shady too. He should have been there. He should have been at that meeting. Just because it's an ongoing investigation and you can't comment on that investigation, that doesn't mean you can't get your butt out there in front of them cameras and at least, and this is what some of the people were so upset about. Where is the condolences? Why hasn't anybody from the city or the county, whatever, why hasn't any of them come out and said this has been a tragic, whatever.
And we're so sorry.
We're so, yeah, we're praying for the family. You can address some stuff without commenting. And that's what that dirty old mayor was trying to say. He was trying to say, oh, well, they can't say anything. They can't say anything. Well, I just didn't like his attitude myself. I thought he was very arrogant. I thought he was egotistical. And that's what happens when rich people have power.
Was the mayor a rich dude?
Yeah, he's the one. His family owns some businesses or something, and he is a very high donor.
Oh yeah, he donates to public campaigns.
He
so
donates.
Who was the guy who was the guy that had it stole from him? He was
the judge executive of the county, but the mayor, he was the one who got caught donating way more money than he was allowed to, and he was donating it to Andy Beshear, who's the governor. So all these connections, and there's always money involved, and it's campaign money and favors, and you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. That's just the way of the system, and I don't think it's just here in Kentucky. I think it's that way just about everywhere. Only here, it's a lot more blatantly in the community's face because they're not ashamed of it. They don't try to hide it. It's kind of just the way that everything has been, So anytime, and if they do anything wrong and somebody tries to complain or bring forth any kind of accusation, it never really goes anywhere because there's never any kind of real investigation done. And that's why a lot of people don't come forward on things.
Well, they're afraid.
They're afraid, and they probably don't want
they don't want the hassle.
Yeah, they don't want the hassle. That's exactly right. Shame X2. I heard that the office wouldn't release the affidavit and said they didn't have it. Then later said they did have it. Yeah, that's what they just said in that first one that we listened to. And yep, it was supposed to be vacant. The little trailer there that it showed us at the beginning, that was where excuse me, that was where the little trailer was where the Buttery guy used to live. He didn't even live there anymore. He used to live there, and the owners of the property somebody came out on an interview and said that that the police had been out there the week prior to the pew pew happening, the week prior to the search warrant being served. And they had informed those police officers who had come out there that nobody had lived in that trailer for months. So some members of law enforcement were aware of that information. I just don't know which ones, and we don't know if they were the same ones that were in on that search warrant. I'd like to know that. Kentucky Wonder Woman. I'm currently not believing what LE is saying about Mr. Harless pulling the pew pew on them. Well, it would be very convenient. And one other thing, if you notice, has never been addressed. I'm the only one that has noticed it and said something about it that I know of. If you guys know of anybody else that's pointed it out, please let me know. But not one, nothing, nobody has mentioned the fact that police officer on the outside of the house starts going backwards, and he falls, and he pulls the rigor tay. You see it plain as day. You see the muzzle flash plain as day, and I haven't seen anybody even point that out except for me. Is it not that big of a deal? I think that's a huge deal. And I'm just so surprised that nobody's talking about that. The house he sent them to was supposed to be vacant. Oh, okay. I mean, you don't never know. He could have taken the weed eater back and hid it in that trailer that he used to live in. But we don't know. That's just speculation on my part, of course. But if he knew it was empty and it was vacant, I could see somebody hiding something that they stole in a vacant place. But we don't know. We don't know how that went down. They still went to the wrong house, even if he did do that. It may very well be that they got the info from Buttery. Buttery stood the weed eater. Well, that's what he is saying, that he didn't tell them nothing about Harless. He didn't know. But, people don't always tell the truth. We know that. We know that people don't always tell the truth, but that's on both sides. That's on both sides. When people get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, they very rarely tell the truth. In the state of Kentucky, the law is that a search warrant must be done before 10 p.m., specifying it is to be done before dark hours. There is guideline to do a search warrant. It was not a rug bust. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My dog Rex. Need accountability on all bar members. I agree with that. I think a lot of lawyers do a lot of illegal stuff, and they hide behind their client, their lawyer-client privilege. I think there's a whole lot of illegality that takes place.
Well, I didn't watch Elizabeth today. I was a singing, or maybe I was doing something else.
She's a busy lady. We're lucky to get her on our show every night, y'all.
If I don't fall asleep, I'm not as busy on the night times.
The police broke the law by the state specifications on the procedure of doing a search warrant. Well, it sure sounds like they did. Why do they need 14 officers to serve a search warrant for a weed eater, for one weed eater? I feel the exact same way. It's not like they had a warrant for a stolen child. It's lawn equipment. Exactly. It was not urgent. There was not any kind of exigent circumstances that they had to get in that house that night. Off topic. I never did hear what your job that you got back. Congrats. Well, thank you. The search warrant may have been to search for rugs based on Buttery's interview. We don't know that Buttery hadn't been having problems with Doug, might have made up some bad stuff on Doug. Well, I haven't heard anything like that, so I don't know. I don't think that was the case. I think all police should have to have a recertification every 3 years. Well, law enforcement's really the only profession that I know of that don't have. I mean, I'm sure they have performance reviews and performance evaluations, but who's actually doing these performance evals and stuff? Because you look at all them police officers up there in Massachusetts that was doing what they were doing with Miss Sandra Birchmore, who was a minor when it started. There was 2 twin brothers that were both police officers, and then their supervisor. It was a higher authority that was, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And then their animal control guy, he was in there involved with her too. I'm sure that they had stunning performance reviews. Don't you? Until this came out, I bet you anything that any performance evaluations that have been done on London police, I bet they've just got 5-star reviews, every one of them.
Well, police ought to have.
But that ain't true.
They should have to take classes. And they should have to take classes not only in what the laws are, but they should have to take classes about things like socialization and psychology and all that stuff. They need to know more than the average man on the street because they have the ability to carry a gun. And if you're given permission to carry a gun, the public should be protected from those people.
And you should have, you should at least avoid the appearance of impropriety. That's my new favorite word, y'all.
I like it too.
It sounds
It covers a lot of area.
it sounds real good. Kentucky Wonder Woman. Law enforcement should have applied the brakes on this one and reeled in their common sense, in my opinion. Yeah.
They needed a little bit more common sense.
When I was in school, and I was getting my associate's degree in applied science, which was a law enforcement degree, I also had to take a competency exam. It's like a 3-hour exam. It's a national test, so it's got national standards. And just to pat myself on the back, y'all, when I took that test, I scored the highest ever recorded score on the NOCTI competency exam, a 97.4 on that exam. Nobody has ever thought or cared what I had to say about anything. But that said a whole lot to me. You know, it said a whole lot to me. Competency, but from someone to be competent in their job. So, and we're looking at all of these cases where negligence, and it's like a lack of common sense in some areas. When you've got so many officers, you've got what, 12 or 9?
And that's not all of them that could have been there.
But not one of them saw that they were at the wrong address. I mean, that is negligent.
Well, you know, we're down here in the mountains where they mine coal and stuff. Well, you would think, you know, those people that were in those coal mining jobs, they had to go back and take classes. They had some little bus. They had a major in coal mining. I don't know what it was called, but they trained those people how to be miners, how to run the equipment and the safety precautions. And I don't know why they don't have some of the same stuff police. They could have scenarios of what you do in this kind of a situation.
Well, they cut corners in all industries. I feel sure that is a very true statement, that in all industries, you've got people who try to cut corners and, you know, get around things.
I don't know if the man had any family or not. I've been wondering that myself, but nobody said anything, so we'll have to wait.
Law enforcement should treat everyone equally and not do special favors for people in high places.
Ideally, that is so, but I don't think it works that way.
Cindy from sunny South Florida says saying sorry could be considered an admission of guilt. Absolutely. But they didn't have to say they were sorry. They could just come out and say, our condolences, our thoughts, and our prayers are with the family of this man who has lost his life. I mean, there is a way that you can address it without admitting guilt. Let's see. Sometimes county attorneys tell them to stay quiet until after an investigation is done. This is so heartbreaking. Someone died. Prayers for those who love him. Absolutely. But the people that were there that night is not who I'm saying I think should have come out and said something. You had that mayor. You had the judge executive. You had the chief of police. You had people in positions who could have at least said something. Yeah, that's what made everybody so upset.
I mean, they all had what's that called? Gravy on their face or mud on their face, or They were all guilty in one way or another. Every one of them.
An innocent man went to bed one night and this happens. They should be doing everything they can for the man's family and admit what they did, but they don't. I doubt they ever will. Yeah.
I don't think they will either.
Bashir is a carpetbagger. I'm not sure I know what a carpetbagger is. What's a
Well, they were those people had them little carpet bags. You know, they were like little pokes you carry your clothes in. And after the Civil War, all them people up in the North got them one of them carpetbagger little things and went down the South to see what they could steal.
Oh, I remember watching what's that movie that I loved so much?
Gone with the Wind.
Yes, and Gone with the Wind, they had carpetbaggers.
Yeah,
and they were bad people.
Yeah. Yeah. They were users and abusers.
That may be why they kick in their door and started pew-pewing. You know, it's just unbelievable that this happened. Anytime Ellie weapon is discharged, it needs to be questioned and answers as to why it was discharged. Absolutely. They have to investigate that. Anytime their service weapon has been discharged, I thought they automatically had to go on like administrative duty or something.
Yeah. They always do in the movies.
They do, don't they, Mom?
They do when they discharge their weapon.
At least until they get all the information and a preliminary investigation has been done into the pew-pew. Let's see. All that same corruption goes on in Tennessee, everywhere else too. Prayers for this man's family. The family needs to file a civil lawsuit. Oh, I bet they will have a time.
If there's any family, they will be doing it.
That one was pulling a Barney Fife with his one bullet. He sure was, Jessica Jackson. Blows me away.
Now, that old Barney Fife was funny, wasn't he?
Well, that
we never did think that we'd see the day come when you have a police department that they all act like Barney Fifes.
Well, I never thought that I would see I don't know. That's not what the way that I should say it. Seeing that man trip over his own feet. They all went in there all gung-ho. You see him running forward like he's really going to do something. And then they've all got their pew-pews drawn. Like, why do they have their weapons drawn before they ever even enter that home? If they're there to serve a search warrant, like, why do they have all that drawn out? It seemed to me like they were expecting a fight.
There must have been a full moon that night. It's the only reason I could see.
Nashville PD is good about releasing body cam footage, usually same day. Some smaller town departments don't seem to have the funds. It would be great if they were a priority for every department. Well, of course, now that this has happened, that mayor came out and said he had just signed a $500,000 contract, a 5-year contract for body cams. I mean,
they just didn't think. They thought it was a waste of money.
Well, and they're not. Well, he said that. He said it was a waste of money, or that it was too expensive when he stopped them from using them. But that city council meeting really showed me a whole lot. It opened my eyes to a whole lot because the city council members were not fans of that mayor. And you could obviously tell that. You could obviously tell by what they said throughout the entire meeting that it sounds to me like the mayor has been, or whoever has been running that, has been sidestepping the city council. Now, the city council also made a comment at the very beginning of it and said that there were a couple different options available to them on how they run or what all their city council has authority over, right? And from what I understood, tell me if you all heard different, but that the kind of government that they had chosen for London, it limits their city council to only the budget issues. So there's the London City Council, all they can really do is anything related to that budget. I think there's a whole lot of things that the way that they have their government set up, they don't have any authority over anything else. So it's very interesting the way that different counties can choose their own.
Well, now I got to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there something else we gonna watch?
Oh, well, yeah, I wanted to look at another incident that happened here in Letcher County. And this was just this year.
State police are investigating the death of a woman in Letcher County. ASB says that they responded to a 911 call stating that a woman had been found dead on Doty Creek in the Jeremiah community. 57-year-old Trina Sandlin was found dead on the scene. Investigators say Sandlin left her home Sunday night but never returned. Investigators determined that Sandlin's injuries were consistent with those of an animal attack.
Okay, now let me go over here to this one. This was a lady who died this year. It says officials believe woman was unalived during a dog attack. Now this case is kind of special because I have very serious questions about what the responsibility of law enforcement was in an earlier situation that should have prevented this entire thing. A Doty Creek woman is unalived following what is believed to be a dog attack. The second such attack on the same property in the past 2 months. In the previous attack, which took place in April, a toddler was severely injured, but no charges and no lawsuit was ever filed. Law enforcement and animal control officers said the boy was taken to the University of Kentucky Medical Center with severe injuries to his arm, officials familiar with the incident said. The latest attack occurred late Saturday on the same property, about 1.7 miles from Kentucky 7 at Jeremiah. According to accounts from Kentucky State Police and the Letcher County coroner, Trina Elizabeth Sandlin, 57, left her rental home near the head of Doty Creek before dark and started down a path to get paint for the house from her landlord, Carlos R. Bentley. She apparently never arrived. KSP received a 911 call about 12:58 a.m. Sunday, June 9th, reporting Sandlin had been found unalived. KSP troopers and detectives responded to the scene. Preliminary investigation indicated her companion and Bentley located her over an embankment near her home. She had suffered injuries consistent with an animal attack. Sandlin was pronounced dead at the scene by Letcher County coroner Perry Fowler, and her body was taken to the state medical examiner's office in Frankfort for autopsy. Fowler said the medical examiner and others he consulted agreed the attack was caused by canines, but the nature of the wounds suggested they were likely made by dogs, not coyotes. Sandlin had multiple bite injuries, including defensive wounds. The Letcher County dog warden and a deputy with the Letcher County Sheriff's Office, this is where I've got questions, went to the property after learning of the attack in April of the child from a third party and were told that someone had unalived the dogs after the boy was bitten. Sheriff Mickey Steins said he advised the family to see the county attorney, but they never went. Steins and other county officials said they were under the impression the dogs were dead until Saturday night's death. So they took somebody's word for it. They didn't even go look on the property. You'd think that they would at least go and see for themselves with their own eyes if there were dogs on this property. Fowler said the only dogs at the scene when he was there were not aggressive, but there were 4 larger dogs nearby at another house. Reported dog attacks are not common in the area, but they do occur. Earlier this month, Jenkins residents complained to the city council about a pack of domestic dogs roaming downtown and behaving aggressively towards residents. That's right here where I live. Those dogs apparently belong to a resident, but are allowed to roam free. 4 years ago, 13-year-old Corey Godsey was unalived by wild dogs near his home at Emelina in Knott County. In that case, the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources assisted with the investigation by setting up cameras in the area, and then animal control workers set live traps to capture the dogs. A comparison of DNA found on the animals and on the body confirmed that 3 of the dogs captured were responsible for the attack that killed Godsey. Why wasn't the same kind of response?
Well, they should have did a DNA swab on the woman to find out the DNA of the dog. Do you know what I'm saying?
There should have been something done when that little boy, when that toddler was in UK hospital. You know, we kind of had a situation here.
Yeah,
Some of you that have watched my show know that we had a dog situation here. And, you know, had bites too. So we have experienced our great animal control. Now, we have some really wonderful women. We have got some amazing, amazing rescuers in and around Letcher County, don't we, Mom?
Yeah, we got some great people.
We do, that really work hard in animal rescue. There was a grant that was secured several years ago that was for Letcher County to have an animal or what's it called, a shelter, and that money ended up getting gone. I don't know what happened to it. It was repurposed. They ended up doing something else with it. So we don't have our shelters around here are just busting out at the seams. You know, they don't have any place to take more animals.
Well, we need free neuter clinics. Spade and neuter clinics is what we need.
Yeah, it's just a really, really bad. I want to be careful what I say, because I sure don't want to offend anybody about that, because we really have a lot of people who work hard
for the animals,
to save animals, and to
but
help.
They're just citizens of the county, though.
Yeah, they're not workers. We've got a couple workers. that really do a lot. And they stay overwhelmed. You know, it's just constantly getting calls. If we have, you know, I love my fur babies. I love animals. So I think we should have stricter animal abuse and neglect laws, personally. But anyway, you got anything you want to say on that, Zelmy?
Well, you know, our one nonprofit was just dissolved recently. That was the one that fed the animals after our flood. You know, they had all that. They gave away all that stuff. Well, they've dissolved that nonprofit. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No, I did not know that. Let's see. My dog Rex. Bashir was born in Kentucky. His father was governor 2007 to 2015. Andy was yankied in New York schooling, became a carpetbagger, and thereby pillaging the people of Kentucky. Well, Andy Bashir's father, when he was governor, he's the one who appointed Judge Kevin Mullins. Well, Kevin Mullins was a prosecutor at that time, an assistant prosecutor, I think. And Andy Bashir's dad, when he was governor, he appointed him. I think there was like a judge left or retired or something. So there was a vacancy. So he appointed him there to fill that district court vacancy. And then he ran again in the next election, which was like the following year. And he won. And Kevin's been there in district court ever since. So there is a connection there between the Bashir father and son in Letcher County. Louisville Metro Animal Shelter is code red capacity. Yeah, they all are. They all are. I feel so bad for all the animals that are stuck outside in all this cold weather. It just breaks my heart. We've got 2 chickens that have been roaming my neighborhood for over a year, and I didn't realize that they were starving. You'd think I would have realized that nobody else was feeding them or nothing. And so I've been taking them out oats and bread, and I gave them strawberries today, and they loved the strawberries. So now they've got to where they associate me with food. So as soon as they see me going out, they start flying at me, running at me. It's kind of scary. I'm not much of a chicken handler.
You're a scaredy cat of the chickens. Chickens won't hurt you. They're nice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love them. The little white one, she's been so skinny and scrawny. But hopefully we'll get her some fat on her. Give her some haunches.
Give her some more strawberries.
Yeah.
And potato peelings, they like potato peelings.
And didn't you say they liked eggshells?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And eggshells.
Mm-hmm. Well, they like everything. You can feed them about anything. We did that. You know, I grew up on a farm. And so when I don't know, I'm going to tell this, it might be awful. But when we washed the dishes, you know, you always had that bunch of slop in a pan, and we'd take that out and give it to the pigs, your dishwashing water. Can you imagine? We must have been such nasty people. And then we gave everything to the chickens too, when we had chickens. And I had pet ducks. I had a bunch of pet ducks because people would buy them little ducks at Easter for their little kids, you know, them little pink. And then they'd get to, they have to get rid of them, so they'd always bring them to me. The cousins and my sister had 2 little boys, and they also brought me the Baney chickens. You remember them little Baney chickens? Anybody know what I mean? They're little tiny chickens, and they're mean little farts.
Yeah. We used to go to a farm somewhere, and they had guineas. And as soon as you get out of the car, the guineas would kind of
chase you. Yeah, and guineas will chase you. They're good watchdogs.
Well, they say some of them pigs are better watchdogs than dogs.
Well, all right.
I'd like to have me a pig.
No, you wouldn't. When he was little and cute, it'd be fine. But when he got to be a big old hog, you'd be thinking bacon. I'm going to have me some bacon.
Lee T says, I agree 100% on the stricter animal negligence and abuse laws. Yeah.
Well, laws are okay, but that's all right. But what we have to do is we have to make services for people so that doesn't happen. We need to have better services for unwanted animals, people that have unwanted animals.
Well, and then you also have people who do animals the same way I see them do about kids. And that's my kid. That's my kid. Well, that's my dog. That's my dog. You ain't taking my dog.
Well,
and
they put them out there in the
dogs full of mange. They're starving it.
They put them out there in those cages, and that all it is poo-poo on the floor.
On their feet. They don't
on their feet, and they're in it up to their knees, and that ought not be allowed now. I'll just tell you.
And then the neighbors are then left responsible, taking care. I mean, I'm always feeding these dogs out on my porch because I don't want them to starve, and I know that they're hungry. The only time they come to my porch is when they're hungry. So, and it's not just me, it's the whole neighborhood then that has to deal with it. And you call animal control, they say they're coming out, they come out, and then the owners pitch some big fit that they don't want to give them up, and they don't make them give them up. They say, okay.
There again, we need free neutering clinics, free vaccines, and neutering. And the state needs to cough up the money.
That's true. But you know what? Some, even if you had free neutering, they wouldn't take them.
Well, but
be left up to
that is true. That's true. They wouldn't take them. But you just think of all the people that would. And you could have, good people in the community that if the people don't have transportation, they can help them transport their animals. I think we really got a crisis.
We do.
Dogs and cats. Animals. Yes, we got a crisis with unwanted animals.
And we can only take so many. At one time, I had 13 dogs up there on that hill when I lived up there by you.
Oh, Lord, I didn't know that.
13 dogs and over time, the shelter took a few, and then I found homes for some. But I wasn't going out looking for these animals. They just show up on your doorstep, or, you're driving down the road and you save one from getting hit.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go.
Okay, that's all right, Mommy.
My little dog is over here crying, and he wants me to go to bed with him.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and leave this one here tonight, y'all. And tomorrow is Wednesday, so I think we're going to be on Gavin Fish tomorrow night. I think it's 7:30 is his usual time. So, watch for us on Gavin tomorrow night, and then I'll probably jump on after I get off with him, and we'll do one on our normal channel, but it'll just be a little bit later. And I still haven't heard about the day for court TV yet, so I'll let y'all know whenever that comes up, if it does. But well, you all stay warm, stay bundled up, stay blessed, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay? All right, guys. Peace out, Girl Scout. See ya.